Good evening, or good morning, good afternoon. Sorry, depends where you are. Welcome to Acsom. I'm afraid Paul John is not with us today. He's at the Barras Art and Design hosting a fan event in Cup semi-final day in Glasgow. So it'll be hosted today by myself, Sean, and I'm joined with some of my Eastern Hemisphere colleagues here. Anthony, who's had one previous appearance on Axon before. I think you did. Wait, was it the match day where we lost to St Mirren? Was that the one you did, Anthony?
It was a draw. It was a draw to Kilmarnock.
Ah,
So it wasn't a
yes.
great day that day.
So,
Yeah, it was great. So let's not mention that, Sean.
yeah, well, we
Hoping
won't
for
hold it
better
against
today.
you unless it goes the
Yeah.
same way today. And our Japanese friend Liam, Liam, what's the time where you are right now in Japan? Is it Nagano? Is that
It's
where you are?
10:30. Yep, Nagano. Yeah, it's just on 10:30. So I
Half
think I'm
10.
an hour ahead or an hour behind you guys, depending what part of Australia you're in. So
That's
An
right.
hour ahead.
Anthony and I are in West Australia, so you're 1 hour ahead of us. I believe the local time in Scotland at the moment is about 1:30 p.m. So, and I guess that means everyone in Scotland's enjoying their Sunday afternoon and looking forward to a Glasgow derby today between two heavyweights. I guess it's second versus third in terms of the table. We had a couple of events yesterday. We had St Mirren beating Motherwell to make it to the League Cup final, which takes place next month. That was 4-1 to St Mirren. So whoever wins today will be Paisley versus Glasgow. And then we also had the other event we had yesterday was the Edinburgh side of Rangers had a comfortable win yesterday. They're 9 points ahead of us, and they play again before we play again, so it could be 12 by the time we finish our next game. So that's not something we're going to focus on today. I think we'll focus more on the derby aspect of today. Today is a cup semi-final. It is the League Cup. If we can get through today, then there's a cup to be won next month, and that's a big thing. You can't win the treble without it, and some people say this is the final before the final when you're playing your biggest rivals. Certainly, if you're looking at terms of size, stature, wage bills, today is the two biggest teams in Scotland facing off in a semi-final at the National Stadium. Anthony, how are you feeling about today?
Buoyant after Thursday night, Friday morning. Again, depending where you are in the world, a win does wonders, and a comprehensive victory over Falkirk at Celtic Park, 4-0. Martin O'Neill back in the helm. I saw Oasis on the weekend. Just got back from Melbourne today. So is it 2005 or is it 2025? It's like, the nostalgia is strong at the moment. So I think Martin O'Neill coming in, getting an arm around the players, just building up a bit of confidence. And you can see that the players were playing that sort of unshackled, just a little bit more aggressive, playing the ball forward quicker, creating more chances. He acknowledges that maybe we don't have the quality to take all our chances. I mean, there's very few teams in the world that take all their chances, but he acknowledged the need to create more chances. And that's really what I'm hoping to see today, because what we saw when we went to their midden 6 weeks ago, or however long ago it was now, it was very, very safe, possession based, not wanting to lose the game. It's a cup semi-final, so obviously one team has to lose. But I just want to go out there with a positive intent. And hoping that we create some chances and put them under pressure. And they're there to be beaten. I mean, Hibs should have got a late equaliser against them during the week, missed a penalty. So they're definitely there for the taking. But I just want to see attacking football. I want to see us try and get in the front foot. And like I say, when we've got the ball, do something with it.
Liam, how are you feeling about today? Do you think the sense of occasion makes a difference? Do you think it's going to be similar to the I think, what is widely regarded as the worst ever derby, the one that was at the end of August, end of September? Sorry, I get months mixed up. Do you think we're going to see a repeat? Or now that we've got two different managers, do you think it's going to be a bit of a different bag today?
I think it's going to be a completely different game. But if you'd said to me a week ago that I'd be sitting here saying once more we're going to march with O'Neill to the Hampden battlefield, I would not be thinking that was possible. So Martin O'Neill has brought a sense of positivity to this game that I was not expecting to feel. I was dreading this game. After the Hearts game, I was like, we could get trounced. That was my worry. And now we still might. We still might, I don't know. But one thing I know, just based on what we saw in midweek, they're going to step out. Every Celtic player is going to step out onto that pitch today believing that they can win. Last weekend against Hearts, I don't think that happened. Whether it's down to the manager, whether it's down to the feeling around the club at the time, I don't know. That's something, it's no fair to judge Rodgers until we've heard his side of the story. But there's no denying that Wednesday, everyone was feeling so much more positive. And if that positivity carries on into today, I think we'll do all right.
Okay. Well, I'm a little bit circumspect, just based on how we've been for the last while. And it has to be said, our opposition has not exactly been on fire either. They've got 2 wins in a row based on the fact they've had a new manager for 3 games. And we've got, if you draw a line between managers, we are on 1 win out of win. So I don't think there's much of a form line for either team at the moment. So I guess we could look at the individuals and have a minor assessment of that. So let's pull up the Celtic start 11 today. We're about 1,000 strong live at the moment. So that's great. Thanks everyone for joining in. So if you have any comments, please join in. I'm afraid we get about 2,000 comments in 30 minutes. So I'll do my best to pull up as many as I can. But we'll first give our deference to our respected colleagues here, Anthony and Liam, who have been doing this for a while and hopefully have a couple of insights. My first insight is Schmeichel in place. There was some talk about Sinisalo being the cup goalkeeper. I think that's probably gone out the window with the change in management. Anthony, any comments on that? If not, feel free to pick up what you take from the starting lineup. What's the main thing that jumps out at you after that?
I think the two points to make there, Sean. One was Schmeichel is that he did pull an excellent save at 1-0 against Falkirk during the week. So I mean that quite easily could have made it 1 each and starts making it a bit more of a sticky fixture with Martin O'Neill back in charge. So I totally, I'd no doubt that Schmeichel was starting tonight. I really kind of expected the team to be pretty much the same team based on the result. The 2 sort of question marks for me were Srirachi or Kieran Tierney. And then the other one was James Forrest or Daiza Maeda, depending if whether Maeda was fit to start. So the mood music the last couple of days is that Maeda was fit to start. So I expected Forrest to sort of drop to the bench there. Obviously, that we don't know yet whether Tanecki will line up on the left and Maeda on the right. But I think the point is that regardless of where they start, there is the possibility of doing a bit of a switch up throughout that match. And I think we dare say we might see that at some point. But yeah, I think the pace on the wings is what will hopefully get us in behind Rangers. I think the last time we played them, Dijiga, their right back, he looked all at sea, and that was with Balikwisha towing a bit of a caravan, trying to sort of put him under pressure. So I just think with Tanecki and Maeda, I think that's where we'll hopefully get a bit of joy and try and get some crosses in. I thought Srirachi had an excellent game on Thursday night as well. So I'm not surprised to see him retain his place because he I think the word that was used was swashbuckling. So I think he was well worth his start, and I think he's got the right sort of stuff to handle this sort of fixture. And just one other thing I noticed from the game on Thursday night was just the fact that when Arfield put a bit of a rough challenge on one of our players, we got in amongst it. There's about 5 or 6 Celtic players in remonstrating, and I think that's what we're going to need tonight to get a result. So hopefully that carries on as well, and we get a bit stuck in.
Thanks, Anthony. Sorry, I just realised there might be some people on audio, and I've just chucked the line up on the visual here only. Eric Barron 5273 just asked, "What is the lineup?" And that was after I announced it. So I'm just sorry, Eric. I apologise. We've got Schmeichel in goals, Ralston at right back, Trusty and Scales playing centre back, or every time we talk about Trusty and Scales as a centre back pairing, we always refer back to Atalanta and that 0-0. So that's restored today. The 2 centre backs. We've got Srirachi at left back. Apparently, Kieran Tierney has a bit of a niggle, but he's fit enough for the bench. He is on the bench at the moment. We've got McGregor, Engels, and Nygren, the same midfield 3 that started midweek. That means Hatate is on the bench. Obviously, if you're going with form, that's not necessarily undue. And then the curious one is Tanecki, Maeda, and Kenny. Liam, how do you see that front three lining up? Who is up front? Who's on the wing? Which wing?
Well, the thing is, it could be. I mean, Kenny's going to be through the middle, but it could be Connecting Maida, could be left or right, and I think that's part of the plan. I think it's to sow a bit of confusion amongst the opposition, because you're the Rangers manager looking at that. You don't really know how to plan because you don't know where they're going to line up until the game starts, and that's the thing with that team. I think it's a very dynamic team generally. Because, well, first of all, Sriracha was man of the match for me during the week. I thought he was superb. Kenny gets his 2 goals. I understand why he got it, but I just thought Sriracha was just absolutely unplayable. He was brilliant. So I'm glad he's in today. But if you look at that, if you look at the 3 men in midfield, you got McGregor, Engels, and Nygren. But Nygren could be part of a 3-man midfield, a la the role that Hatate plays, or he could actually step forward and play the kind of number 10 role. So I think it's going to depend on how the game starts off. If Rangers are coming at us quite aggressively, we'll have to sit a bit deeper to start off with. If we come out and we're going at them, I think Nygren gets that license to go a bit further forward. I expect Connecting Maida to switch back and forth a fair bit during the game to kind of stretch their defence and confuse them, because you've got the pace of Maeda and you've got the skill and pace of Connecting. And Kenny was very good in the midweek for getting into goal-scoring positions, as was Nygren, albeit his finishing needs a bit of work. So I think it's a very, very dynamic team overall, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it was an interesting thing with Rodgers on his way out. There was a lot of talk about. One of the last quotes he ever gave was Tanecki refuses to play on the right side. So we'll find out today how accurate that is. So that will give us a bit of a tell on that particular event. And as you mentioned, midweek, Tanecki, previously his only really goal was against Partick Thistle, and then he gets one against Falkirk. Okay, it's still not Hearts, Aberdeen, or Sevco, but it's his first league goal, so that's a bit of progress. And Maeda was only fit enough for the bench midweek, and again, Martin O'Neill revealed that was down to physio advisement that he could only play 35 minutes. Today could go for 120 minutes. So if Maeda's starting today, it feels unlikely that he's going to go into extra time. But we never know. They might have just had that as a warm up for today. I'll bring you back in a second, Anthony. I'll just bring up a couple of comments. We've got a few comments coming in. Just bring this one up first from John Shirley 5833. Where's PJD? Paul is doing the fan event at Barrows Art and Design today. So he's hosting a lot of live Celtic fans today. So he's entrusted us guys in the Eastern Hemisphere. And John has asked, why are we not at Hampden supporting the boys today instead of talking about it?
You want to pay the taxi fare, mate? I'll go.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
it's a bit of a commute for us, John. I'm in Western Australia. It's a 17-hour flight to the UK. Liam, you're about a 15-hour flight, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and look, we're not on the away ticket registration scheme, so it'd be a bit tricky for us to even get tickets for today if we could get that return flight. So, also we're here for Metallica happening in Western Australia right now, and some of our friends are over in Melbourne for Oasis. So it's all happening down here, apart from what is obviously the biggest event of the weekend, which is the Glasgow Derby at Hampden. Anthony, I'll just bring you in with this comment from River C3. Is Donovan injured or something? I don't think he's injured. Comments?
Yeah, omitted by the looks of things. The other big omission is Paolo Bernardo. He's not on the bench either. They've opted for Osmond and Yang. So definitely attacking options. I guess the way they look at it is with Tierney on the bench and Dave Murray, they can just shuffle the pack. So having an additional fullback on the bench was superfluous, I would think. And then, like I said, I've opted for Yang rather than Bernardo. Again, obviously got to trust the management team on that one. I don't know what Bernardo's done. That's 2 managers now that he doesn't seem to get a look in. But I'm one of his supporters. But like I said, we'll just try to trust what's there. And I think tonight it's all about getting behind the team, and obviously, a lot of stuff happening. With regards to the board and stuff like that, but I think right now everyone just needs to get behind the team tonight and get the result. And 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 hopefully get I was going to say 3 points, but just progress into the final of the cup. That's what we're after. Cliches.
I don't believe Yang was on the bench midweek, was he?
He wasn't.
Is this deck chairs on the Titanic thing? What's going on here? Is that a tactical choice? Was Yang not fit? Is this just a next man up due to who is available? Liam, what do you reckon?
I think it's just a case of who's fit, who's available, and let's not disrupt things too much until the new management team has a better idea of who can do what. I think that's why, for example, Yamada and Inamura have also still not got a look in despite the change in management, is that I would say Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney probably haven't had enough time to have a look at them in training. So you go with the players who are showing it in training at the moment and the players that you know what they can do. So that team is not necessarily the first pick team that you would have, but of what we've got available right now and who's in form, who's available, I think that's probably the best we could do right now. So, it's a bit of a strange selection in some ways, but if you go back to when Martin O'Neill was manager first time around, he always likes to throw a couple of young players into the mix on the subs bench, which I think is why Osmond's there, and perhaps why Murray is there as well, despite not having the best game last week.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned that, and particularly Shin, Liam, you'd have more insight in being based in Japan. You'd have more insight in Shin's ability, but it seems that Osmond is rated ahead of him at the moment, particularly for Maloney and Neil. Do you think that's to do with Maloney having more hands-on with Osmond? Do you think it's what insight would you give him that? John McVeigh here saying Martin O'Neill rates Osmond. Do you think it's as simple as that?
I think it's that. It's the fact, as I said, Martin O'Neill has a kind of predisposition to giving youth a chance more than Brendan Rodgers did, and I also think that Maloney has seen him play for the B team, so he knows what the boy can do. Whereas, unfortunately for Shin and Inamura, because we don't have a reserve league at the moment, they're in limbo. They're not getting any football anywhere because they're too good for the B team. They're not good enough for the first team. It's a horrible sort of grey area that they're stuck in right now.
Anthony, did you see anything from Osmond midweek that made you think he should be preferred to Shin on the bench? Because the two of them came off the bench against Falkirk.
I thought Osmond did all right when he came off the bench. I mean, you're 4-0 up by that point, so it's sort of like, he had that one chance where he cuts inside and he looked settled and steady and got involved. It's hard to judge on what was 18 minutes, whatever he was on the park. He wasn't on for very long. But I thought Shin Yamada looked good when he came off the bench against, well, not good, but I thought he offered a bit more when he came off the bench against Hearts last weekend. So, obviously under a different management team, so I don't know. Obviously, a decision's been made to go in that direction for now, and I think it's a Sean Maloney decision because, to be fair to Martin O'Neill, I don't think he knew most of the players. He's just sort of going in there and giving a bit of a team talk and picking everybody up. But, I think Sean Maloney is the one that's sort of making these sort of like minor tweaks to the subs bench and things like that. So he's obviously going in this direction. And we'll just have to see sort of how it carries on. And obviously, when the permanent manager comes in, then we'll see again whether that continues or whether our two Japanese recruits from this season get a look in, because at the moment they seem to be pretty frozen out, or have been frozen out for most of the season.
So we'll come back to the Celtic team in a second, and I hope Paul doesn't get annoyed at me for putting splashes of blue on the podcast, but I'm just going to bring up the opposition lineup for today. So we've got Butland in goals, who's saving a lot of penalties at the moment, which is a concern for a cup game. Gigas, Suter and Cornelius, we suspect will be a back three, as you mentioned, Anthony. Tavernier, who's the other wing back then? Is it Magoma? Then we've got Diomande and Raskin in midfield. Not sure who else with. Asgard, I think, is a midfielder, and Chermiti and Danilo. So it's feeling like a 3-5-2, although I'm not overly clear myself.
It is. That's what it's been touted as. Yeah.
So who's the wing backs? Tavernier and
Tavernier and Magoma.
So Asgard's in midfield then.
Yeah.
Anything I should know about having not watched this opposition much?
Well, I mean, the only thing is that Connor Barrett's suspended, so he's not playing. and he's kind of there, that sort of workhorse sort of. Oh, gee, that's.
Sorry, I can't figure out which one this is supposed to be. I've just put myself in here. Sorry, apologies.
There you go. You're back.
Let's go with that one.
That would do. But yeah, no, I think Conor Barron's, but he's suspended, so he's kind of their sort of workhorse. He's the one that usually sits on McGregor and puts the pressure on. So I think Rastin will probably try and probably do a bit of that, and we'll see what happens. But I just think one of the things that's happened in the Celtic team, and this has happened before Rodgers left, was by starting Engels a little bit deeper beside McGregor, it means that if McGregor gets man-marked, we're not completely nullified because Engels can still pick the ball up. You've got Negron playing slightly further ahead, linking up with Kenny, who I think looks better in almost like that sort of front forward two rather than the lone striker role. So I just think that the formation tweak that we did midweek just sort of suits the team, the squad of players that we have better. And Engels is doing a lot of running, gives McGregor a bit of chance to get on the ball, takes the pressure off him a bit. Because I kind of feel that's where the McGregor-Hatate partnership was just leaving McGregor a little bit exposed. Because Hatate can obviously give you that moment of brilliance, but it's usually interspersed with 10 or 15 minutes of not a lot. Whereas at least the work rate there in that team. And the thing is that the Engels-McGregor partnership was pretty much the backbone of last season. And we kind of like discarded that with Negron coming in at the start of the season. And the balance never seemed to be right, pretty much that with that midfield three. So I'm just kind of hoping that we can see that sort of develop and continue to improve. And like I said, we can expose them out wide, because I think that's really where we should be able to get at them. And if we can pin Tavernier and Megahoma back, effectively they're playing as a back five, then we should outnumber them elsewhere on the pitch and capitalize. But it's all about the start, and I just hope, I'd expect Martin O'Neill to get the team up for this and get his, really sort of firing right from the first minute. Because the last derby lacked quality. It lacked intensity in parts, it lacked quality. So I'm hoping for a bit of both tonight.
That was obviously the biggest thing last time. That was just an unbearable game of football last time. And if it had been a cup game, then it would have went another 30 minutes and it would have absolutely went to penalties. And we probably would have lost at that point. You never know. Penalties is a bit of a gamble. Just going to remember this comment here that I've been saving. Celtic follower 9840 from earlier. Demanding and Raskin search for yellow card. I would love to agree with you. Celtic follower 9840. But I have this ongoing thing, and Anthony might have heard me talking about it at the club leave, and you might have heard me mention it before. I like to count how many fouls that are given as a play on that Diomande commits before he gets booked. And it tends to be 4 to 5 every single derby. So let's have a game today. Let's count how many fouls that should have been given that Diomande commits before he actually gets booked. I'm going to say 5, and then he'll get booked in the 83rd minute. Does anyone disagree with me?
I wish I could, Sean, but probably not, no.
What I would add, though, is that talking about the bookings, I think if you're somebody who likes a bet, I think today is one of those days where that kind of accumulator bet that a lot of bookies do, where it's like, for example, Celtic to win, both teams to score X number of cards, X number of corners, whatever. I think that sort of bet could come in today, because I think it's going to be a game where both teams are going to go for it. There will be cards, there will be goals, and there'll probably be a lot of fouls and a lot of corners as well.
As a referee, please don't judge me. I've noticed that what happens in these games, and it seems to be coached into the referees, is that they are told, try so hard to not book people for the first hour. That seems to be the instruction they get. The only yellow cards you get typically in the first hour is if it's a deliberate foul, like as if someone's off in a counter attack and they get deliberately fouled, pull back, that sort of thing. That seems to be the only sort of yellow card you get in the first hour. And obviously there's the odds one where like someone goes and studs up or whatever, right? But that they try so hard to not give yellow cards, and then in the last 15 minutes they just go nuts, whatever, at that point, and it just slows the game down and whatever. And that it kind of helps whoever's the lead at that point, to be honest. And Anyway, sorry, getting back conspiracy theory here. I'll just take my hat off. Sorry, just before we'll do our predictions in a sec. Actually, sorry, we'll do predictions first because I hate doing it, rushing into the last second. So we will. There's one more thing I want to talk about. But Anthony, can you just give us your predictions, including score and how you think today's game's going to go? We're still 5 minutes from kickoff. I'm not rushing people off, but I don't like to do it last second. Anthony, how do you think today's going to go, and what do you think the score is going to be?
I predicted 2-1 during the week, and I'm going to stand by that. Taz, obviously. But yeah, no, I think we'll win. Between free kicks, set pieces, I think that's where they're most dangerous. I mean, the centre half nearly scored the last time. It was obviously chalked off for offside. So I'm just thinking, there's a chance that they're always quite dangerous from those situations. So, but I think we're good for a couple of goals. So 2-1, start well, hopefully get 2-0 up, and then, hopefully have a relatively easy afternoon, but rarely happens. And I should just say on Liam's point before, gamble responsibly. Just a little disclaimer there.
That's a good point.
Don't bet on Rangers.
Well, Liam, give me a prediction. Give me a brief overview of how you think this is going to play out.
Right. I have no idea how today's game is going to go because it's probably the most unpredictable Glasgow derby that there's been in a long time.
No form to go on. No new managers. Yeah.
I will say, completely off of nothing, I did a gaming video for my YouTube channel last night where Celtic played Rangers using the 2005 official Celtic video game, and we beat them 5-2. So I'm going to go with that, 5-2. Obviously, John Hartson isn't going to score a hat-trick today like last night, but, we're going to, 5-2 to Celtic. There you go.
You never know. Shameless plug, Liam. I'm just going to chuck in. Sorry, just when you mentioned gamble responsibly, I just pulled up the betting odds there after you said that. Celtic are favourites, actually. Interestingly, 1.85. We are odds on, and even more surprising to me is actually how long Sevco are. They're 2.75. That's good. I personally see this going to this penalties, and at that point, I think they'll take it with Butland the way he saves penalties, and I think he'll get that. I really do. I want to see it all, but that's just unfortunately keep playing out. But sorry, no harm to him. Hope he scores a hat trick. I hope we win. I'm just not optimistic. One last thing I want to talk about before we start, guys. There's still a couple of minutes. Teams are walking out, but there's still a few minutes. The Nygren and Engels thing. Who do you think will be the one we're talking about at half-time and full-time? Because obviously Engels gets a lot of criticism for being an £11 million player who's not living up to price tag. Nygren gets a lot less criticism for being a £1.5 million player. Just quickly, guys, chime in. Who are we going to be talking about later?
Oh, hopefully a Nygren hat-trick, because he's probably playing a bit more further forwards and he seems to get in the right positions. It's just, I think the issue with him is that he's just not very cultured when it comes to the finishing. And I think that's what frustrates people, because he trips over the ball and he seems to take the wrong option and so on and so forth. So if he just gets out of his game tonight, he could easily walk away with a hat-trick. So hopefully we're talking about Nygren for all the right reasons. But I'd happily settle for Arne Engels, because I'm also one of his big supporters as well, and hopefully we're talking about him in positive light as well. But we'll see. Time will tell. 90 minutes, maybe more.
I think we'll be talking about.
We're going to be talking about halftime.
Both. I think an exquisite Engels corner comes in. It's flicked on by Scales, and Nygren's in at the back post to smash it in via Butland's nose. There you go.
I really hope. I hope we have a great game. I hope we have some goals to talk about half time. It looks like it's a cloudy day in Glasgow, but it's not actively raining, even though the ground's wet. Martin O'Neill's heading up the stairs. Let's just hope for. I'm going to bring up one sentiment from the comments that stood out to me by Milky Moo Truffle Biscuits. What a great name! And his sentiment is into him.
Yes.
And I think we can all agree with that one on the green half of Glasgow. So thank you everyone for listening in. The game's about to start, and we'll see you all at half time and full time, and hopefully we have some real positive things to talk about. If not, we'll talk about the bad things too. Any last comments, guys?
No, let's get into them.
Let's go and scale them.
Come on.